Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Boys in the hood, call me Black Donald Trump.
Machiavelli returns as God forgives and I don't. Resurrection of the real, time to get richer than Trump.
I made $1 million on that corner, down Donald Trump notes. Take over the world when I'm on my Donald Trump. Boy, I got money like Donald Trump. Before I die, I want a mansion and a Lamborghini. A bank account so fat that Donald Trump would want to be me. I'm like Donald Trump. I'm like Donald Trump.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes. And we changed attitudes.
When I was 17 years old, like many of you, I participated in sit-ins to desegregate the restaurants and movie houses of Wilmington, Delaware. I came out of the civil rights movement. I was one of those guys that sat in and marched and all that stuff. During the 60s, I was, in fact, very concerned about the civil rights movement. I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was involved, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else. I was a suburbanite kid who got a dose of exposure to what was happening to black Americans when I'm in my own city.
Becoming the nominee of the party of Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people don't realize that Abraham Lincoln, the great Abraham Lincoln, was a Republican, has been the greatest honor of my life. It is on his legacy that I hope to build the future of the party, but more important, the future of the country and the community. I believe we need a civil rights agenda for our time. One that ensures the rights to a great education, so important, and the right to live in safety and in peace, and to have a really, really great job, a good paying job, and one that you love to go to every morning. And that can happen. We're one nation, and when anyone hurts, we all hurt together, and that's so true.
Sir, it is my esteemed pleasure to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Donald Trump. It's the Donald! Oh my God!
Mr. and Mrs. Trump, it's an honor to meet you.
Ooh, what's good, my fellow deplorables? Welcome back to the channel. This is the 1776 report, where we expose the stupidity and the hypocrisy of the woke left. As soon as Donald Trump came down the golden escalators in 2015, the mainstream media tried to paint this man as a racist, which is kind of ironic because prior to his presidential run, Donald Trump was beloved by the African-American community. He was a rap icon. He was a cultural icon. He was in a bunch of different sitcom African-American comedy television shows. He was loved by the black community. But the media knew they had a problem. The Democratic Party relies on the African-American vote in order to retain power, and if there was any slippage whatsoever, they would lose control, and that would be a catastrophe because, after all, it's all about keeping control. So the media painted Donald Trump as a racist. They painted him as a KKK Ku Klux Klan member. They painted him as the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, a white nationalist, the next Hitler. And it ended up somewhat working. Although Donald Trump won in 2016, Hillary Clinton still carried a huge majority of the African American vote. And Joe Biden, who was Barack Obama's vice president, which helped him to carry a massive majority of the black vote in 2020. And we need to remember that Joe Biden only won the 2020 election, and I say won with air quotes, by about 50,000 votes. So if 25,000 people change their vote to Donald Trump, we have a different president. Now, I do think there was real flaws, and I say flaws, I mean cheating in the 2020 election, but just look at the numbers. We're just looking at the numbers here today. We're not going to go back and relitigate the 2020 election. During the 2020 election, Joe Biden got 87% of the African American male vote. And he took down, Joe Biden received 95% of the African American female vote. That is an astronomical number. But Donald Trump got 12% of the African American vote, right around the 12% number. That is huge. That is more than Mitt Romney. That is more than John McCain. That is more than George W. Bush. And if there's any slippage in 2024, let's say Donald Trump receives 15 to 17% of the African American vote, he will be the 47th president of the United States and will win the 2024 general election. And all polls are indicating that the Democrat Washington establishment planned to indict Donald Trump, to persecute him legally for crimes that are not actually crimes, is backfiring with the black community. Polls are showing us that the black community is rallying around Donald Trump. They know what this is. They have seen this before. Polls are signaling Biden slipping with black and Hispanic voters. President Biden's support among Hispanic and black voters may be dwindling from 2020. According to analysis by the New York Times, as he faces the prospect of a rematch with President Trump in 2024. This is a huge deal. Huge deal. In 2020, Biden received about 70% of both combined Hispanic and black vote share. So let's say he only received 60% of the African American and Hispanic vote. He cannot win with those type of numbers. And his numbers continue to slip poll after poll. If the numbers that we're seeing right now materialize next November, it would continue the years-long trend of declining support among black and Hispanic voters in his party, the New York Times is stating. No shit, because people remember 4 years ago what their bank accounts and what their wallets looked like. The African American community, the white community, the Hispanic community were doing much better financially. Inflation wasn't pricing people out of homes. Inflation wasn't pricing people out of going to the grocery store and getting eggs. Forget about buying a house. I'm just talking about going to the grocery store and buying a 12-pack of eggs or paying $4 for a gallon of gas. The black community is smart enough to see what's going on out there. It is chaos in those streets. We'll be generous and give him 60% in 2024. He loses. He loses Arizona. He loses Wisconsin. He loses Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Arizona, probably Nevada, possibly New Hampshire. We're talking about a seismic shift. What this administration has done by indicting their primary political opponent has become such an evident witch hunt that the black community is saying, no, we're not going to stand for this. We remember 4 years ago that we had more money in our bank accounts. Now we have illegal immigrants flooding across the border, taking our jobs, taking our potential work from us. We're not going to stand for it. We're going to vote for Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Is this a mirage, or does Donald Trump have the potential to receive the highest vote share from the African American community that we have seen in generations and decades? Let me know down below. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time, peace.